we kind of alluded to before the Super Bowl, our guy EB, after years of being ROC, two Super Bowl trophies, and I think I read online that he's had somewhere over 15 head coach interviews. Eric Bieniemy is gone, but unfortunately not for a head coaching gig. It's in large part it was a lateral move, but with an assistant head coach title, which he did not have, which I was surprised he didn't have that in Kansas City. He'll be the Washington Commanders offensive coordinator, calling all the plays, in charge of the full offense. It's going to be his show, and he's going to run it. Ron Rivera's going to give him the keys. He's going to do whatever he wants with it. So that's one thing, we talk about players betting on themselves. It appears that EB is betting on himself to go to Washington and kind of turn that offense around to show other NFL teams that he can run an offense and he can do this, right? Because, obviously, I guess people don't think he did that in Kansas City. The sad part is, you had Matt Nagy, you had Doug Peterson, who came in Kansas City, got head coaching gigs. Didn't have to go to another place to be an offensive coordinator, but we'll get into that in this question here. But JD, what do you make of EB's move going from Kansas City to Washington to be their offensive coordinator there?
You know what? First off, I just want to say I think it's atrocious that he actually has to go in and not being considered for the head coach, to be honest with you. That's where I'm at. I think it's one of those things. What you see is a shock, and it's a shame that somebody who definitely has all the records of what he's been able to achieve these past few years in Kansas City. It's an absolute disservice to him. It really is. I'm looking at it, but so we're talking about offensive coordinator, he was 12-4, 12-4, 14-2, 11-5, 14-3, right? That's where he was. And so with somebody that you're looking at that have something of that caliber, why would you not want to hire this guy as your head coach? To me, the life of me, it doesn't make any sense. So to me, this move in itself, I don't think was necessary, but he feels like it's necessary. And look, I wish EB nothing but the best, right? I love EB. He's a solid guy. They talk about things, what happened 20 years ago, this and that, blah, blah, blah. Well, look, if you look at some of these coaches and look at some of the things that they've done in the past, some things might shock you. I'm just going to be honest with you, okay? So we can keep saying these different things and why he's not being hired and keep, they say, moving the goalposts and saying these things like that. EB is qualified, okay, to be head coach. No doubt in the NFL. And the thing is, I've said this. If you don't want to hire him, just say why. Be honest up front and say why it is that you're not hiring. Don't say, oh, he's not the right guy for us. Tell it what it is, why you didn't hire this guy. Just be upfront. If it's that and in the past, say that. Okay? Don't make it where, you're keeping it close to you. Divulge everything. All right? Why not? If you ain't got anything to hide, just say it. Okay? So that's what I say about that, the EB. So goes to the Commanders. They're going to get some more pieces. They're going to get a quarterback. And hopefully, and I think they will be getting a guy who's going to be able to help them out. And I think to him, he's just like, look, you know what? Dad got it. I got to go through these hoops. I got to jump over all these hedges. I got to do all these different things, right, to prove my worth. Well, who it is and who I am. And so he can go to a team that is not as good as Kansas City. And he can make them a contender. In Washington, they got a great defense. They got some pieces out there on the offensive side of the ball. He's going to make them better. He is. He's going to make them better. And so it's a shame that you had to go and say, oh, I got to go from underneath this guy right here to get any type of credibility. Matt Nagy didn't have to do it. Doug Peterson didn't have to do it. With Brad Chook, none of these guys else had to do those things. You had guys that left here, went somewhere else, was getting considered for head coaching jobs. So nothing but the best for EB. Nothing but the best. That's where I'm at, man. But it's a shame just having to deal with this, man. To me, it's ridiculous, and it's just beyond belief.
I think what's crazy about this is it's like, okay, he goes over there, right? He makes them this. He makes because their offense last year, the quarterback situation was a big problem in their offense. I mean, living in this area, I had to hear about all this stuff all the time, all the complaints they had. So he's got a lot to do there. Offensive line needs work. But that team has skill players. They have Dotson, McLaurin, Curtis Samuel, and the running back situation. You got Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson, Logan Thomas at tight end. They have a lot of great weapons on that team. They need to figure out the quarterback situation. I know. I think Rivera said they want Sam Howell to be the guy going into next year. I can't. I mean, now that was before they signed EB. So now with EB there, we'll see what happens with that quarterback situation. I think I even heard a rumor today, Lamar Jackson potentially just going down the Beltway, just going right to Washington if that could happen. Which that'd be interesting. That'd be a great move for the Washington. But my thing is, it's like he goes there, he makes his team a better offense than they were last year. Flip side of that, let's say he goes there, their offense looks the same. This is why I say he's betting on himself, because if that offense doesn't change, or it's about the same as it was last year, then what happens? Is EB never going to get a head coaching position? I mean, it's an unfair thing to make a guy have to do when he's already proven so much already as an offensive coordinator. Because if you look at his resume, that's a better resume than any other offensive coordinator that's ever gone for any head coaching position ever.
Yeah, it's not even close. It's just not. And so we sit there and we looked at both coordinators from the losing team from the Eagles get hired as head coaches. That to me is just it's crazy. It's maddening. So what can it be? Really, and I'm sitting there saying, like, when the guy has to deal with this, he has to deal with all of these things. Like, man, what I have to say and do to make it that I'm enough? What is it? Why not even just take a chance on me? I don't know, man. I'm perplexed, but I think it needs to be some answers. Yeah. I know Andy was, a couple of years ago, he was like, well, I want to go and explore why he's not getting hired. Well, Andy, what'd you find out? Right? What'd you find out? We didn't hear anything. Did you? I didn't. I didn't get any answers. So all this mystery why he's not getting hired, what is it? So that's where I'm at with this thing, man. To me, I just think it's outlandish. I really do. It's crazy. It's just shocking. And it just seems like there's always this hurdle, that guys had to go over, but especially EB. So I don't know if they try to just put it on him. Was EB's not a good this and that. And forget all that, man. Come on.
Well, he's putting. I will say this for everyone who's saying, "Oh, it's Andy. Andy ran the show," and look at all the guys who came from Andy's trio. Okay, Doug Peterson, for example, he left Andy's shadow, won a Super Bowl. Chicago, and I know Matt Nagy gets a lot of flack from what he did in Chicago. Not okay. They had a good defense, but they made the playoffs. That team that Chicago's put out on the field this past year without Nagy there, I think they made playoffs twice in the 4 years he was there. Yeah. It's better than what the product they had this past year. Mm-hmm. But here's the thing though. So Washington, it has good offenses this year. They look great. What happens now? He goes to a head coaching interview. He doesn't get a job. Then what is it then? If it's not the Andy Shadow BS anymore, then what is it? Because he's honestly going to put a lot of owners' feet to the fire this offseason with all that speculation of the whole Andy Shadow. Well, he wasn't Andy Shadow, and he ran that offense, and the Washington Commanders had a good offense this past year. Then what is it then?
Told you, man. I just need some answers. I need some straightforward answers. How about that? Just say why you didn't hire the guy. Okay, what did you not like? Need to have an owner step up and say why they're not hiring him. Period. Okay. Because we can speculate all we want. And I think now, because it's been such a big deal, a big topic in the NFL, that you really can't, you can't just sweep this under the rug. It won't go away. Mm-hmm. Address it. Address why. Okay. Put it all to bed. You ain't got no problem with it and say, hey, look, man, we didn't like the guy because of this. You felt like going in a different direction. Fine. Why'd you go in a different direction? What did this guy have that Andy, the EB didn't have? That's what I'm waiting on now. Other than that, I could care less what the owners have to say. Seriously, unless you're not coming with some type of truth or some reasoning. I think it's just, like I said, it's a travesty.
Yeah, and I think when people look at like Andy's OCs, the guys who got jobs shortly after their stint with under Andy, the one I pointed to this week on our Twitter account, if you look at Doug Peterson from 2013 to 2015 was our offensive coordinator. In that time, we had a passing game coordinator in Brad Childress, who was a former Vikings head coach. So not only that, we had Andy Reid, we had Brad Childress, and we had Doug Peterson. People want to say that, it hasn't been EB, it's just been Andy over the last few years. Okay, but Doug Peterson had Andy had Brad Childers, but yeah, that didn't stop the Eagles from hiring him.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, you're not going to use that. It's not, that'd be the BS, excuse. So it can't be that. Like I said, man, I'm just, hey, nothing's going to satisfy me until actually hearing from the owner's mouth what the reason is.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be interesting. I'm, being in the Washington area, I'm gonna have my eyes on what's going on with EB and the Commanders, and I hope they find a quarter. I hope they find a quarterback, and I hope we can see what EB can do with an offense without the whole BS Andy. And that's the thing too. It's like, yeah, Andy's a great offensive mind, and like you said, you've been in different offenses where it's a collaborative effort, but people hold too much stock in this whole Andy's running the show there.
Right.
And then you obviously have LaShawn McCoy going on at his show and saying what he said, continuing to say this stuff about EB again. And then it was nice to see pretty much every former Chief player come to EB's defense on Twitter this past week to sway against Shady McCoy's comments about EB.
Yeah, man. I don't really have much else to say seriously about that. So, LaShawn, he's going to be here. That's Shady going to be Shady. Like I said, that's who he's going to be. So he has his opinion about it. But if you have overwhelming support of EB from other players, I think that speaks volumes. So,
yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think most people said sour grapes from Shady McCoy because I think Tyreek Hill said it. It was he wanted him to tuck the ball and he didn't want him to swing the ball around, and that's why Shady's got Shady has a sour grapes.
Right, sour grapes. Okay, well,
yeah, but wishing EB the best of luck, and we wish it didn't have to come to this.
100%.
And also to NFC team, we can root for an NFC team.
yeah, absolutely.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out the best clips from Chief Concerns. And if you prefer to listen to the show, subscribe and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.